and the sensory neurons. Okay, so these are our objectives. We will give the basis of specific classification of sensory cranial nerves. We will differentiate nucleus from ganglion. We will review the receptors for general and special senses, describe the cranial nerve sensory nuclei and ganglia, describe the association neurons, locate the cranial nerves and its association nucleus and ganglia, classify the cranial nerve, sensory cranial nerve, and correlate some clinical conditions affecting the sensory and the cranial nerve nuclei and ganglia. Okay, so for the functional classifications of neurons, it is divided into sensory or afferent neurons and motor or efferent neurons. Okay, so mesa, motor, efferent, sensory, afferent. Motor, efferent neurons, sensory, afferent neurons. Now, connection between the motor and the sensory neurons are called the association or the internuncial neurons. It is also called as relay neurons, connector neurons, intermediate neurons. Okay, so these neurons connect the brain to the different regions. Okay, they are found exclusively in our central nervous system, such as the brain stem, the spinal cord. In our case, we are talking about cranial nerves. We know that 10 of these cranial nerves are located at the brain stem. So the internuncial neurons or the association neurons, they are usually located at the different parts or divisions of the brain stem. Again, these association neurons act as a very important link between the afferent sensory neurons sending messages to the brain and the efferent motor neurons receiving this message from the brain. Okay? So again, we will define or the nucleus versus the ganglion. Okay, nucleus, these are mass of gray matter. They are located within the central nervous system. Again, they are located inside the central nervous system. Okay, when we say ganglion or ganglia, these are mass of gray matter, a group of cell bodies that are located outside the brain and the spinal cord. Again, ganglia, they are located outside. Neurons, they are found, or these are cell bodies inside the central nervous system. Okay, so cranial nerves, of course, we have 12 pairs of cranial nerves. Okay, we have 12 pairs of cranial nerves. They mostly innervate the head and the neck region, except for the vagus, which also supplies the thorax and the abdomen. The vagus also supplies organs in the thorax and the abdomen. Okay, again, 10 of these cranial nerves, the nuclei are located within the brain stem. Okay, so for the classification, we have purely sensory or afferent cranial nerves, purely motor or efferent, and mixed cranial nerve, meaning they have sensory and motor components. Okay, so other cranial nerves are also classified as parasympathetic. So what are those purely sensory cranial nerves? You have the olfactory, the optic, and the vestibulocochlear cranial nerves. How about the purely motor or efferent cranial nerves? They are cranial nerves 3, 4, and 6. These 3 cranial nerves innervate the extraocular muscles. Also, among the purely efferent or motor cranial nerves are cranial nerves 11, that is the spinal accessory, and cranial nerve 12, that is the hypoglossal nerve. What are the mixed cranial nerve? They are the trigeminal, the facial, the glossopharyngeal, and the vagus, and parasympathetic cranial nerves are the cranial nerves number 3. The parasympathetic division is the accessory nuclei, which is the Edinger-Westphal nucleus for pupillary constriction. Okay, we also have from cranial nerve number 7 or facial nerve, the salivatory nucleus, the inferior and superior salivatory nucleus. Also parasympathetic, there are some components of the glossopharyngeal and vagal nerve that are parasympathetic. So again, these are our cranial nerves. Of course, cranial nerve 1, olfactory, sensory for the sense of smell. Optic, purely sensory for vision. It receives visual information. Oculomotor, purely motor, innervates the extraocular muscles such as the superior rectus, middle rectus, inferior rectus, and inferior oblique. Okay, trochlear is a purely motor cranial nerve which innervates the superior oblique muscle, one of the extraocular muscles. Trigeminal is a mixed cranial nerve. Sensory division is for the sensation of the face, while motor division is for muscles of mastication. Abducent is a purely motor cranial nerve that innervates the lateral rectus muscle. Lateral rectus muscle is also an extraocular muscle. Okay. So other cranial nerves, the 7th cranial nerve or the facial nerve is a mixed cranial nerve. The motor component is for the muscle of facial expression, while the sensory is for the anterior 2/3 of the tongue. Okay, vestibulocochlear is purely sensory. It has the vestibular component for balance and the cochlear for hearing or audition. Auditory. Glossopharyngeal is a mixed cranial nerve. The sensory is from the posterior 2/3 of the tongue, and the motor supplies the staphylophryngous muscle, which is an important muscle, or it acts as a significant dilating muscle of the nasopharynx. Okay. Vagus is also a mixed cranial nerve. It has a motor, a sensory, and a parasympathetic division. Okay, so for the motor fibers, it supplies the constrictor muscles of the pharynx and the intrinsic muscle of the larynx, while the sensory is sensation to the larynx, pharynx, and the external acoustic meatus. The spinal accessory is purely motor. It supplies the trapezius muscle for shrugging of the shoulder and the sternocleidomastoid muscle for the movement of the head. And the hypoglossal, again, purely motor, which supplies the tongue muscle. Okay, so again, this is the brainstem. Okay, again, the brainstem connects superiorly to the forebrain, and part of the forebrain is the thalamus. It connects inferiorly to the spinal cord. So when the medulla leaves the foramen magnum, it now becomes part of the spinal cord. So you have here the cerebrum, the forebrain, the midbrain, the pons, and the medulla. And of course, the spinal cord. This is the anterior view, and you have here the posterior view of the brainstem. You can see here the different cranial nerve nuclei. Again, when we say nuclei, they are located within the brainstem or the central nervous system. Okay, so again, let us review. Okay, 10 of these cranial nerves, they are found at different levels of the brainstem. The olfactory cranial nerve, it is found at the inferior surface of the frontal lobe. We also have here the optic nerve, which is the cranial nerve number 2 for vision. What are the cranial nerves at the brainstem? At different levels of the brainstem, we have class at the level of the midbrain, both motor cranial nerves, the oculomotor, and the trochlear. At the level of the pons, we have here the trigeminal. In between the pons and the medulla, you have 3 cranial nerves there. Those are the cranial nerves 6, 7, 8, namely the abducent, the facial, and the vestibulocochlear nerve respectively. And at the level of the medulla or the medulla oblongata, we have again 4 cranial nerves, okay? Between the olives and the inferior cerebellar peduncle, you have the emergence of the glossopharyngeal, the vagus, and the accessory nerve. And here, between the olives and the pyramid, you have the hypoglossal nerve. Again, at the level of the midbrain, 2. Level of the pons, 4. Level of the medulla, 4. Okay, so for our topic, which is the sensory cranial nerves, these are the important cranial nerves that we will discuss in addition to the olfactory nerve. Okay? What are the cranial nerve nucleus? Where are they located in the brainstem? If you still remember, the trigeminal nucleus, the sensory division of the trigeminal nucleus, you have the main principal or the main sensory nucleus of the trigeminal nerve, which is located at the level of the pons. Okay, going up, it now becomes the mesencephalic nucleus of that trigeminal nerve. It is at the level of the midbrain. Going down from the lower end of the pons, going down to the medulla oblongata, is the spinal nucleus of the trigeminal nerve. Okay? So what are the other cranial nerve nuclei? Here, you have here this diamond-shaped structure at the level of the pons and the upper medulla. That is the vestibular nucleus for balance. Again, at the level of the lower pons, upper medulla, this diamond-shaped nuclei, that is the vestibular nucleus. Posterior to the vestibular nucleus, near the inferior cerebellar peduncle. This is the inferior cerebellar peduncle. That is the posterior cochlear nucleus. Doktora, bakit posterior? Because again, class, if you remember, this is the posterior surface of the brainstem. Okay? This is posterior view of the brainstem. So here, besides the inferior cerebellar peduncle, that is the posterior cochlear nucleus. And when you tilt the brainstem, you have here another nucleus here, anterior to the vestibular nucleus. And that is, class, the anterior cochlear nucleus. Okay, the anterior cochlear nucleus. Am I clear, class? Okay. Okay. Now, we have here at the level of the medulla, we have here the dorsal vagus, the dorsal motor nucleus of the vagus. The dorsal motor nucleus of the vagus, and lateral to it, you have this S-shaped nuclei, and that is, class, the nucleus of Tractus solitarius. It is made up, or it is composed of sensory cranial nerves 7, 9, and 10. Again, the nucleus of Tractus solitarius is composed of the sensory divisions of cranial nerve 7, 9, and 10. Okay? Clear? This is the facial, the glossopharyngeal, and the vagus nucleus. Okay? So again, the nucleus of Tractus solitarius. Now, okay, we will just go through this. The cranial nerves, class, they enter or exit the cranial cavity via these openings in the skull. Okay, we call these openings the foramen. Okay, here at the inferior surface of the frontal lobe, we have here the cribriform plate for the passage of the olfactory nerve. Okay, we also have here the optic canal for the passage of the optic nerve, which is cranial nerve number 2. Okay, so the superior orbital fissure, you have several cranial nerves passing through the superior orbital fissures. They are cranial nerve 3, cranial nerve 4, cranial nerve 6. They are the cranial nerves that innervates the extraocular muscle. In addition, you have here or the first division of the trigeminal nerve, which is the ophthalmic nerve, also passes through the superior orbital fissure. Now, the foramen rotundum contains the maxillary division of the trigeminal nerve, while the ovale contains the mandibular division of the trigeminal nerve. Now, the foramen spinosum, you have the meningeal branch of the mandibular division of the third cranial nerve or the trigeminal cranial nerve. Okay? Trigeminal cranial nerve. Okay. Now, the internal acoustic meatus, of course, carries the vestibulocochlear as well as the facial nerve. While the jugular foramen, there are several important cranial nerves that passes through the jugular foramen. They are cranial nerves 9, 10, and cranial nerve 11. Of course, the hypoglossal canal contains the hypoglossal nerve. That is where the hypoglossal nerve exits the cavity. Okay. Now, the sensory nuclei. Of course, the sensory nuclei of the cranial nerves includes the somatic and the visceral afferent nucleus. Okay. So the sensory afferent part which sends impulses towards the CNN. So meaning from the brainstem going up from the cranial nerves going up to our central nervous system. Okay, they send impulse to the CNS. Okay, these sensory or afferent parts of the cranial nerve, they are located in the ganglia. Okay, ganglia of the nerve trunks. These are equivalent to the posterior root ganglion of the spinal nerve. Also, they may be situated in sensory organs such as the nose, the eye, and the ear. Again, aside from the ganglia, some are situated in sensory organs such as the nose, the eye, and the ear. So these ganglia, this sensory afferent part, these are the first order neurons. Okay, first order neuron. The cell and their processes again forms the first order neurons. So now, when these first order neurons, the central processes of the neurons enter the brain, they will terminate or they will connect with the second order neuron. Okay, so again, the second order neuron, they are the sensory nuclei located within the central nervous system. These are the second order neuron. Okay, so this second order neuron will go up. They will decussate on the opposite side of the brainstem, going up to the central nervous system, going to the thalamus and the cerebral cortex. I will show you a picture. Okay, and these are our third order neurons. So again, from the ganglia, which is the first order neuron, it will enter the brainstem. It will connect with the sensory nucleus here, sensory nuclei, and that is the second order neuron. Okay, it will cross or decussate on the opposite side as the medial lemniscus, go to the third order neuron, which is usually located at the thalamus, the ventral posteronucleus, ventral posteromedian nucleus of the thalamus. Then they will usually terminate here at the parietal lobe, at the primary somatosensory area of the parietal lobe, which is Brodmann area 3, 1, 2. Okay, Brodmann area 3, 1, 2. Okay, of course, specific for the visual, they will terminate at the visual cortex, at the occipital lobe. Okay, for the olfactory, at the entorrhinal cortex. Okay? Okay, so how about wiring of a reflex, the reflex arc? There are 5 steps. Of course, stimulus. Okay, so when the receptors are stimulated by any stimulus, it will, of course, activate these receptors located in the organ. Okay, so upon activation of the receptors, of course, it will activate now the sensory neurons. Okay, the sensory neurons. It will go to the higher centers such as the cerebrum for information processing. Okay, information processing. So these are usually your ascending tracks. Okay, descending tracks from the cortex, it will activate the motor neurons. Okay, the motor neurons therefore having a response. Okay, so that is again class the reflex arc. Okay, as I've said, sensory neurons may either be somatic or visceral. What do we mean by somatic class? What do we mean by somatic? It means it receives sensory information from the skin, muscles, bones, and joints. Okay, while visceral receives sensory information from the viscera, from the internal organs such as the heart, the lungs, the stomach, and the bladder. Okay, so again, the functional components, you have somatic general, general somatic afferent that receives pain, sensation of pain, pressure, touch, and temperature. Special somatic afferent for hearing, balance, and vision. Take note, class. Special somatic afferent, hearing, balance, and vision. Okay, for the general visceral afferent, of course, it contains information or sensation from the organs, from the viscera, such as distension. Okay, special visceral afferent, specific for taste and smell. Taste and smell. Okay? Okay. So here, class, these are again the functional components of the cranial nerves. General somatic information, afferent receives general senses. General somatic afferent, general senses such as touch, pain, temperature, pressure, vibration, proprioception from the skin, muscle, and joint. Special somatic afferent, ano bang sinabi natin? Special somatic afferent for hearing, balance, and vision. Hearing, balance, or equilibrium, and vision. General visceral afferent, visceral from the internal organs, and special visceral afferent for taste and smell. Taste and smell. Okay? So again, these are the functional component. General somatic afferent coming from the body wall, skin, muscle, tendons. General visceral coming from the viscera such as the heart, GIT, reproductive, respiratory tract. Special somatic afferent, vision and hearing, balance, auditory. Okay, vision specific for cranial nerve 2, balance and auditory for cranial nerve number 8. And special visceral afferent for smell and taste. Of course, smell from cranial nerve number 1, which is the olfactory nerve. Taste, we have several cranial nerve for the taste. Okay, the anterior 2/3 from the 7th cranial nerve, posterior 1/3 from the 9th cranial nerve, and also taste sensation may be interpreted by the vagus nerve, which is the 10th cranial nerve. Okay, so for the first cranial nerve nuclei, that or the first cranial nerve that we will discuss is the olfactory. Okay, the olfactory nerve. Okay, when we say first order neuron of the olfactory nerve, it is located at the olfactory nerve cells near or above or superior, the superior concha of the nose. Okay, it will attach or connect to the second order neuron, the mitral cells, which is located at the olfactory bulb. Again, Olfactory, the function is for smell. So this is the functional component for the olfactory nerve is special visceral afferent. Okay, special visceral afferent. So again, the olfactory nerves arises from the olfactory receptors here at the upper part of the nasal cavity above the level of the superior concha. Okay, you have here class. This is the nose. This is the cavity of the nose. You have the inferior, the and the superior concha. So above the superior concha are the olfactory nerve cells. Okay, so these olfactory nerve cells, they gave out coarse peripheral processes. Those are your olfactory hairs. So when these olfactory hairs are stimulated by odor, the stimulus will go to the olfactory cell here, the body of the olfactory cell, and it will give out fine processes. And these class are your olfactory nerve. Okay, the olfactory nerve, which is your first order neuron. Now, the olfactory nerve will pass through the cribriform plate of the ethmoid bone. So the olfactory nerve will pass through or will enter via the cribriform plate of the ethmoid bone. Okay, so it will go to the olfactory bulb. In the olfactory bulb, you have here the second order neuron, which are the mitral cells. The mitral cells. So as I've said, the olfactory bulb, the olfactory tract, they are located at the inferior surface of the frontal lobe. Okay, the inferior surface of the frontal lobe. So again, from the cribriform plate, the olfactory nerve fibers will synapse with the mitral cells of the olfactory bulb. Okay, so look at the mitral cells. Okay, it gives out fibers, okay, on the same side or the ipsilateral side as the lateral olfactory tract. Same side or ipsilateral side as the lateral olfactory tract. Okay, and this one will terminate at the primary olfactory cortex, which is the piriform cortex, a small portion of the entorhinal cortex, and the corticomedial amygdala. Okay? So again, this lateral olfactory tract will terminate at the piriform cortex, which is the primary olfactory cortex, a small portion of the entorhinal cortex and the corticomedial amygdala. Now look, some of these fibers will go to the anterior olfactory nucleus where they will send fibers here at the level of the anterior perforated substance to the contralateral anterior olfactory nucleus. So rarely class magkakaroon tayo ng bilateral anosmia because you have innervation on the same side and you have innervation on the contralateral or the opposite side. Kaya again, rarely ang bilateral anosmia. Anosmia meaning loss of smell. Okay. Now, we go now to the optic nerve. Again, let's review for the olfactory nerve. You have here the first order neuron, the olfactory nerve cell, and the second order neuron is the mitral cells, which again are located at the olfactory bulb. To terminate at the primary olfactory cortex, which is the piriform cortex. Okay, now we go to the optic nerve, which is the second cranial nerve for vision. The function is the optic nerve. The function of the optic nerve is for vision. Okay, the cell bodies, the first order neuron is located at the retina. Okay, at the photoreceptor layer of the retina, where they will interact with the second-order neuron still located at the retina, the bipolar cells. Okay? Again, the function is for vision. So the component, the functional component of the optic nerve is special sensory afferent. Special sensory afferent. Okay, so first, how do we process vision? The light enters the eye via the cornea, which is the anterior transparent part of the globe. This is the main refracting surface of the eye. It will pass through the space here, that is the pupil, going to the lens. Okay, now from the lens, the light will go or travel to the vitreous cavity going to the retina. So here, information will pass through the optic nerve to go to the brain for interpretation. So again, the first order neuron is located here at the retina. Specifically, the cell bodies of the rods and cones. Okay, the cell body of the rods and cones which are found, or specific layer they are found, is the outer nuclear layer of the retina. Okay, so here, you have here the bipolar cells. The bipolar cells are one of the main retinal interneurons, okay, and they provide the main pathways from the photoreceptors, which are the rods and cones, to the ganglion cells. So they are the shortest and most direct pathways for the input and output of visual signals in the retina. Okay, so again, the first order neuron are the rods and cone. Second order neuron are the bipolar cells. These two are found in the retina. Take note, class, you have 10 layers of the retina, which we will discuss when we go through the special sensory organs. Okay, so here, the fibers of the optic nerve are the axons of the cells in the ganglion layer of the retina. Okay, so from ganglion cell retina of the retina, they will converge here as the optic disc. They will converge on the optic disc. Okay, so this optic disc will become the optic nerve. Okay, and they will exit the orbital cavity via the optic canal. Okay, so when they leave the orbital cavity, okay, this is again the optic nerve. The right and the left optic nerve will meet here at the optic chiasma or the optic chiasm. Okay, it is situated at the junction of the anterior wall and the floor of the third ventricle. Okay, look at the fibers of the chiasma. Sometimes, class, we call this chiasm lang, no? Or chiasma. Okay? So, again, the nasal retina, the nasal fibers of the retina will cross on the opposite side, while the temporal fibers of the retina will remain uncrossed. So, this crossing of the nasal fiber, that is, or that happens at the optic chiasma. Okay, the optic chiasma. Remember, this is your optic nerve. This is the optic chiasm. Now, here, this is the optic tract. The optic tract. This optic tract emerges from the optic chiasma. Okay? So, this optic tract contains nasal fiber from the opposite retina and temporal fiber on the ipsilateral or same retina. Okay, they will terminate at the lateral geniculate body. I know you've heard about the lateral geniculate body. This is part of the thalamus that receives visual information. Okay, lateral geniculate body. Some of the fibers, class, will go to the pretectal nucleus of the superior colliculus of the midbrain. If you remember, superior colliculus also receives visual information or light reflexes. Okay, so here, from the lateral geniculate body, it will give out these fibers, that is the optic radiation, to terminate at the primary visual cortex, which is Brodmann area 17. It is located at the occipital lobe of the cortex of the cerebrum. The visual association cortex is also located at the occipital lobe. Okay, these are areas or Brodmann areas 18 and 8. Okay, it is responsible for recognition of objects and perception of color. Okay, again, primary visual cortex 17, association 18 and 19. Okay. Okay, for the vision, it is special. The functional component is special somatic afferent. Okay, special somatic afferent for vision, and taste, smell, special visceral afferent. Special visceral afferent. Now, we go to another mixed cranial nerve, and that is the trigeminal nerve or the cranial nerve number 5. Okay, so for the first order neuron, it is again located outside the brainstem. We have the trigeminal or the semilunar or the Gasserian ganglion. It is a thin crescent-shaped structure. It is situated in the Meckel's cave within the middle cranial fossa. Okay, so here, this trigeminal ganglion or first order neuron will connect or associate with the nucleus of the trigeminal nerve located within the brainstem. Again, the mesencephalic nucleus for an conscious proprioception of the muscles of mastication, the main or principal sensory nucleus, which is located at the level of the pons for discriminative touch, vibration, and conscious proprioception, while the spinal trigeminal nucleus going down to the medulla receives pain and temperature from the head. Okay, that is from, not from the head. Okay, so we have 3 branches of the trigeminal nerve. Okay, again, this is the trigeminal ganglion here. It gives out 3 branches. We have the ophthalmic, which is the first branch, so we call this also the V1. We have the maxillary, which is the second branch, we call this the V2. And here you have here the mandibular, which is the third branch, which is the V3. If you still remember, the V1 or the ophthalmic division passes through what foramen? The superior orbital fissure. The V2 passes through the foramen rotundum. The V3 passes through the foramen ovale. Okay, so this one, the ophthalmic division receives or is responsible for the sensation of the scalp, the forehead, the upper eyelid, the cornea, the nasal cavity, the ethmoid sinus, and the tip of the nose. Okay, the tip of the nose. While the maxillary division supplies the hard and soft palate, the nasal cavity, the maxillary teeth, look, the lower eyelids, the skin of the cheek, the temporal region, and the dura of the mid-cranial fossa. Okay, while the mandibular division, the third division or third branch of the trigeminal nerve is sensory to the dura, sensory to the cheek, sensory to the external auditory meatus, tympanic membrane, temporomandibular joint, and lateral scalp. Okay? So, yan. So, class, I just put this, but please, wag nyo na siyang i-memorize, okay? Baka kasi makatulong sa inyo when you study the cranial nerves, the division of the trigeminal nerve, when you study it sa gross nyo. Okay, so nilagay ko lang yan. So, again, you have 3 major branches of the trigeminal nerve, the ophthalmic and the maxillary. They are purely sensory. purely sensory, while the mandibular is the mixed. That is the mixed portion. The sensory again is for the lateral scalp, the external auditory meatus, while the motor supplies the muscles of mastication. Muscle of mastication. So again, these two, purely sensory, the mandibular mixed. Okay, it has a motor component. Okay, now from the trigeminal ganglion here, the trigeminal ganglion, again, this is located at the petrous bone in the middle of the skull. So it will now go, or sensation, or the stimulus will now enter the brain stem. Okay, so the trigeminal nerve, it is located at the anterolateral aspect of the pons. Okay, so some of the fibers for unconscious proprioception, for the muscles of mastication, will go to the mesencephalic nucleus. Some will go to the main sensory nucleus, and for pain, temperature will go to the spinal nucleus of the trigeminal nerve. So from here, from the trigeminal nucleus here at the brainstem, they will cross on the opposite side, going to the thalamus and terminate at the primary somatosensory area, which is the Brodmann area 312 of the cerebral cortex. Okay? Okay, now we go to another cranial nerve, which is the facial nerve. This is a mixed cranial nerve. Okay, a mixed cranial nerve. The first order neuron is the geniculate ganglion. The geniculate ganglion. It contains the cell bodies of the fibers responsible for conducting the taste sensation from the anterior 2/3 of the tongue. Also, neurons located at the ganglion, at the geniculate ganglion, contribute to the sensory innervation of other sites such as the palate, the pinna of the ear, okay, the external canal. Okay. So first, the anterior 2/3 of the tongue. Okay, the anterior 2/3 of the tongue again will go to the sensation, or the tract will pass through the geniculate ganglion, which is your first order neuron, to go to the nucleus of tractus solitarius. Nucleus of tractus solitarius. So again, taste, the functional component is special visceral afferent. Okay, so take note, class, as I've said earlier, the nucleus of tractus solitarius contains 3 sensory neurons. Neurons of cranial nerve 9, 10, and 7. Nucleus of tractus solitarius 9, 10, and 7. 7, 9, and 10. Okay? So, ginawa ko lang yan so you'll remember that nucleus of tractus solitarius 7, 9, and 10. Okay. So again, from the anterior 2/3 of the tongue, it will pass through the geniculate ganglion, which is your first order neuron, to go to the nucleus of tractus solitarius, which is the second order neuron, go to the thalamus, go to the cortex, the primary somatosensory area. Okay, how about for the sensation of the concha of the ear, external acoustic meatus, the external surface of the tympanic membrane? Core sensation will go again to the geniculate ganglion, which is your first order neuron. Okay, so here running through the facial nerve, they pass next to the geniculate ganglion. Okay, and they arise via the intermediate nerve. Okay, going to the brainstem, terminate or connecting to the spinal nucleus of the trigeminal nerve, which is your second order neuron. Okay, so again, for the sensation from the concha, from the external ear, acoustic meatus, tympanic membrane, first order neuron is the geniculate ganglion. It will leave the geniculate ganglion together with the facial nerve as the intermediate nerve going inside the brainstem, connecting or associating with the spinal nucleus of the trigeminal nerve, which is our second order neuron. Okay, next cranial nerve is the vestibulocochlear which is a purely sensory cranial nerve, okay? It has the vestibular division for balance and the cochlear division for hearing or audition or auditory, okay? The first order neuron, so both of them class, the balance, equilibrium, hearing, the functional component of the vestibular cochlear is special somatic afferent. Special somatic afferent. Okay. For the balance, okay, the first order neuron is at the vestibular or Scarpa's ganglion located at the semicircular canal. While the hearing, the first order neuron is the spiral ganglion located at the cochlea. Okay, the second order neuron of the vestibular ganglion is at the vestibular nuclear complex located at the lower medulla, while the spinal ganglion is at the dorsal and ventral or the posterior or anterior cochlear nuclei. So again, let's just review this diamond-shaped structure that is the vestibular nucleus. Posterior to it is the posterior cochlear near the inferior cerebellar peduncle, and you have here the anterior cochlear, okay, when you tilt it. Okay, so again, the first order neuron for the vestibular part of the vestibular cochlear is the vestibular ganglion. The vestibular ganglion. So the vestibular nerve conducts nerve impulses from the utricle saccule, which provides information concerning the position of the head. Okay, so the nerve also conducts impulses from the semicircular canal that provide information concerning the movement of the head. Utricle, saccule, position of the head. Semicircular canal for the movement of the head. Okay. So here, semicircular utricle saccule going to the vestibular ganglion. Okay. Now, from the vestibular ganglion, the vestibular nerve will enter the lower border and the upper part of the medulla. Okay. If you still remember, it enters the lower border and upper part of the medulla. Okay, it will go now here to the vestibular nuclei located at the superior part of the medulla. Okay, from the vestibular nuclei, it will give off ascending and descending branches. Some will go to the medial longitudinal fasciculus, okay, for the movement of the head and neck in response to visual stimuli. Okay, this one, the medial longitudinal fasciculus, that is the connection of the cranial nerve nuclei concerned with the extraocular muscle. So some will go to the medial vestibular nuclei. From the vestibular complex, it will go directly to the thalamus, to the cerebral cortex, and some will go to the cerebellum via the inferior cerebellar peduncle. Okay? Again, this is the second order neuron, the vestibular complex. This is the first order neuron. Okay. Now, for the cochlear division, the cochlear nerve conducts nerve impulse concerned with the sound from the organ of Corti located here at the cochlea. Okay, so the cochlear nerves are the central processes of nerve cells. They are again located here at the spiral ganglion. Okay, they enter the brainstem at the lower border of the pons. Okay, on the lateral side near the inferior cerebellar peduncle. Okay, so again, from the spiral ganglion, which is your first order neuron, it will go to the second order neuron, which is the anterior and the posterior cochlear. Near the inferior cerebellar peduncle, they enter at the lower border of the pons. Okay, they will go to the posterior nucleus of the trapezoid body. If you still remember, the trapezoid body receives auditory information from the contralateral side. So here, trapezoid body, some will go directly to the medial geniculate ganglion, some will go to the inferior colliculus of the midbrain via the lateral lemniscus. So, auditory, lateral lemniscus. Okay, if you still remember, connection of the inferior colliculus of the midbrain to the medial geniculate body is via the inferior brachium. Okay, so here from the medial geniculate body, it will go to the auditory cortex, which is located at the temporal lobe, specifically at the superior temporal gyrus of the temporal lobe. So again, the functional component for balance, for hearing, okay, for equilibrium, that is special somatic afferent. Special somatic afferent. Next is the glossopharyngeal nerve. Okay, the glossopharyngeal nerve is a mixed cranial nerve. It has a motor component, a sensory component, and a parasympathetic component. For the first order neuron of the glossopharyngeal nerve, we have the superior and the inferior glossopharyngeal ganglion. The inferior glossopharyngeal ganglion is also known as the petrosal ganglion. It is larger compared to the glossopharyngeal ganglion. If you remember, the inferior or the glossopharyngeal nerve passes through the jugular foramen together with the vagus and the accessory nerve. Okay, so class. Okay, again, the glossopharyngeal nerve, the first order neuron is for the posterior one-third of the tongue. Taste from the posterior one-third of the tongue is the inferior glossopharyngeal or the petrosal ganglion. Okay, so also afferent impulse from the carotid sinus, which is the baroreceptor situated at the bifurcation of the common carotid artery, also travels with the glossopharyngeal nerve. Both of them, the tongue, the taste from the posterior one-third of the tongue, the baroreceptor via the carotid sinus, they are connected to the nucleus of tractus solitarius. Okay, so here, taste posterior one-third, carotid sinus goes through the inferior glossopharyngeal ganglion or the petrosal ganglion to terminate at the nucleus of tractus solitarius. Of course, the taste, the functional component, is special visceral afferent, while the parasympathetic, the baroreceptor, the sensation from the tongue, pharynx, the chemoreceptor, general visceral afferent. GVA. Okay, so again, here, taste from the posterior one-third of the tongue, from the carotid sinus. Okay, so they will pass through the inferior ganglion via the jugular foramen and go to the nucleus of tractus solitarius. Again, nucleus of tractus solitarius. Taste from the posterior two-third, nucleus of tractus solitarius, to decussate on the opposite side, going up to the thalamus. The ventral, posterior, medial nucleus of the thalamus to go to the insula, which is the primary gustatory cortex. Okay. That is for the inferior glossopharyngeal. How about the superior glossopharyngeal ganglion? The superior glossopharyngeal ganglion. Okay? So, afferent information concerning sensation enter the brainstem via the superior ganglion, glossopharyngeal ganglion, and ends in the spinal nucleus of the trigeminal nerve. Okay, so sensation from the posterior third of the tongue. Kanina class, taste. Pag taste, inferior glossopharyngeal. Pag sensation of the posterior third of the tongue, That is sensory superior glossopharyngeal ganglion. Okay? Sensory from the posterior third of the tongue, tonsils, skin of the ear, internal surface of the tympanic membrane, pharynx, goes through the superior ganglion, glossopharyngeal ganglion, to go to the spinal nucleus of the trigeminal nerve. So here, this is the summary or the different tracks for the inferior and the superior glossopharyngeal. Again, taste from the posterior one-third of the tongue, the chemoreceptor, the baroreceptor goes to the inferior glossopharyngeal ganglion to go to the nucleus of Tractus solitarius. While sensation from the middle ear, sensation from the pharynx, sensation from the posterior third of the tongue goes to the superior glossopharyngeal ganglion to terminate at the spinal ganglion of the spinal trigeminal nucleus. Okay, spinal nucleus of the trigeminal nerve. Okay. Okay, and lastly, the vagus nerve, which is the 10th cranial nerve. Okay, so we also have the ganglia of the vagus. We have the inferior vagal ganglion and the superior vagal ganglion. Okay, the inferior vagal ganglion, same as the glossopharyngeal, it is larger compared to the superior ganglion. The inferior vagal ganglion is also known as the ganglion nodosum, okay, or the nodus ganglion, and the superior vagal ganglion is known as the jugular ganglion. Okay, again, they both pass through the jugular foramen. Okay. So for the vagus, the inferior vagal ganglion, okay, that receives information from the taste buds. So the functional component is special visceral afferent. Okay, so from the sensory, from the larynx, the trachea, esophagus, thoracic, abdominal viscera, stretch, receptors in the aortic, chemoreceptors. Of course, these are all visceral organs. So general visceral afferent. General visceral afferent. Okay, so here they will go through the inferior vagal ganglion to terminate at the nucleus of Tractus solitarius still. Inferior nucleus of Tractus solitarius. While the superior vagal ganglion, sensory from the posterior meninges, external acoustic meatus, concha, pharynx, larynx. The functional component is general somatic afferent. From the superior vagal ganglion, it will go to the spinal nucleus of the trigeminal nerve. Take note, class, ha? The vagal ganglion or the ganglion of the vagus is different from the glossopharyngeal ganglion. Iba siya. Okay? But both of them will pass through the jugular foramen. Okay, so again, these summarizes the location of the cranial nerve. Cranial nerve 1 and 2, they are located at the cortex. Okay, the olfactory is located at the inferior surface of the cerebral cortex, of the frontal lobe of the cerebral cortex. The midbrain, you have cranial nerves 3 and 4. Pons, 4 cranial nerves, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And the medulla, again, 4 cranial nerves 9, 10, 11, and 12. Okay, so these are your cranial nerve nuclei. You've seen this earlier. Okay, so we're done with the cranial nerve sensory nuclei and ganglion. Okay, the cranial nerve testing class will just go through this cranial nerve testing because again, you've already studied this when you study IPD. Okay, so for testing the olfactory nerve, of course, that is the sense of smell. You have to introduce non-irritating odor such as coffee, peel of orange. Huwag naman kayo gumamit ng mga super lakas na mga perfume because it will cause irritation of the hair cells. Minsan nga pain pa yung mararamdaman nila. Okay, so how will you test for the olfactory nerve? Of course, first you have to test for the patency of the of the nostrils. Okay? So you will ask the patient to sniff. Titingnan nyo, baka naman mamaya barado yan, may sipon. You can proceed with the procedure. Okay? So when okay, pay attention to both nostrils niya. You will ask the patient to close his or her eyes. Then you will occlude one nostril. Then you will ask the patient to smell. Okay? So, ganun din. Gagawin din yan sa kabilang side. Okay? So, then you will interpret the result. Of course, for the optic nerve, again, it is for vision. So, we do the visual acuity test via or using the Snellen's chart. Okay? We also have for near visual acuity, the Jaeger's chart. Okay, so the perfect vision is 20/20, meaning this chart or the Snellen's chart is 20 feet away from the patient and he or she can be able to identify this letter. So pag na-identify nila yan, perfect vision siya, 20/20. Okay, visual acuity. Of course, also to test for the optic nerve, we do fundoscopy. Okay. So, you are taught how to use the ophthalmoscope during your IPD. So, when you do fundoscopy, of course, you will see the media. Okay? Dadaan kayo sa cornea, dadaan kayo sa lens, dadaan kayo sa anterior-posterior chamber, dadaan kayo sa vitreous cavity. And this is what you'll see, the retina. Of course, you will see the optic disc, that is the piercing of the optic nerve at the lamina cribrosa of the retina. Okay, that is the thinnest portion of the sclera. So, doon dumada ng optic nerve nyo. You will see these vessels because at the optic canal, also your retinal veins, their retinal artery pierces the optic nerve. Kaya sabay-sabay nyo silang makikita dyan at the optic disc. You have the arteries and the vein. And temporal or lateral to the optic disc is the macula. Okay, for the most acute vision. At the center of the macula is the fovea. So those are the structures that you have to see when you do fundoscopy. Of course, the optic disc, look for its size, its color, yellow-orange optic disc with distinct disc borders, cup disc ratio, 0.3, etc., etc. And the retinal vessels, the artery, the vein, and the macula. Okay. Also, testing the optic nerve is the visual field testing. Okay, so the peripheral vision. Okay, okay. For the trigeminal nerve, of course, that is the sensation of the face. So we usually use a cotton, okay, for light touch, sensation, and pin for pain. Okay, hindi naman natin kailangan i-test yung temperature because you have na the pain. Okay. Light touch, cotton, pin for pain. So you'll ask the patient to close his or her eyes. Then you, if you will use safety pin, okay, you will ask the patient kung nafe-feel ba niya, kung saan niya nafe-feel, etc. You know that already. Also, we also test the trigeminal nerve by the corneal blink reflex. The corneal blink reflex. Okay, so the trigeminal neuralgia, okay, that is usually occurs spontaneously. Okay, but it is sometimes associated with facial trauma, yung mga accident, vehicular accident, or any dental procedures. Okay, they may cause blood vessels that may press against the trigeminal nerve, causing vascular compression. So this trigeminal neuralgia, even if you tap it, minsan even with the aircon, the hangin, it is very, very painful. Usually the pain is at the maxillary and the mandibular division. Rarely yung ophthalmic division na i-involve. So madalas siya sa mandibular and the maxillary division of the trigeminal nerve. Again, testing for the trigeminal nerve can be done via the corneal blink reflex. To test for the sensory component, which is cranial nerve 5, and the motor component, which is the facial nerve, which is the cranial nerve 7, for the closing of the eyelids. Okay. Okay, so for the taste, of course, the anterior 2/3 of the tongue. Okay, so when you do class the test, the test for the taste, be sure that the patient gargled water. Ha? Baka mamaya nung lunch, kumain niya ng longganisa, ng kung ano-ano. So, sobra yung taste nun. Di ba? Usually, may aftertaste. So, ask the patient to gargle with plain water. Okay? So, when they protrude his or her tongue, okay, aside from the facial nerve, ano pa makikita niyo doon? Pag nag-protrude siya ng tongue, you can also test for the hypoglossal. Diba? You will see if there's any fasciculation, hindi pantay yung tongue niya, deviated yung tongue niya. Okay. So, yun. Na-test nyo na rin yung hypoglossal. Okay. But again, for the facial nerve, ask the patient to protrude his or her tongue. Of course, close pa rin yung eyes. Then, you will instill solution. Like sugar. Okay. Sugar. After sugar, gargle again. Then, salt solution, gargle again. Okay. Okay. So here, okay class, look, both abducens and facial nerve, if you have a lesion of the abducent and facial nerve, or if the abducent and facial nerve is not functioning, probably the lesion is at the level of the pons. Remember, these two are located at the level of the pons. If both vestibulocochlear and facial nerves are not functioning, it may have a lesion at the internal acoustic meatus because that is where they passes through. Loss of taste over the anterior 2/3 of the tongue indicate damage to the facial nerve proximal to the point where it gives off the chorda tympani branch of the facial nerve. Okay. Next, the vestibulocochlear, of course, the auditory or the cochlear division that is for auditory, for hearing. You can test it via using the Weber and the Linnaeus test using a tuning fork, usually 256 cycles per second or coin. Okay, so Weber, you do it here at the vertex of the skull. Linnaeus test here at the posterior part of the ear at the mastoid process. Okay, so you know that naman na. Okay, Romberg's test for balance. Okay, so when the patient sways after opening, okay, so ito. Maybe you'll get confused with the Romberg's test. Okay, how do we perform the Romberg's test? First, you have to remove the shoes. Lalo na kung naka-high heels yan or remove the shoes, fit together. Then the patient will stand quietly. Okay, so hands here or pwede rin nasa side niya. Okay, so first, what do you do? To test for the Romberg's test, you will ask the patient to do that with the eyes open. Okay, be sure that the one doing the test is beside the patient kasi baka ma-off balance siya. Okay, so do it with the eyes open and with the eyes closed. Okay, so pag yan, nagkaroon ng swaying, pag eyes closed, usually the problem is at the spinal cord, the vestibular nuclei, the sensory pathways. Pero when they open their eyes, continue pa rin yung swaying, usually there is cerebellar lesion. Cerebellar lesion. Okay? Glossopharyngeal nerve for the sensation or the taste for the posterior 1/3 of the tongue. Usually, it involves then the vagus nerve. Rarely, glossopharyngeal nerve lang yung involved. Okay, remember the glossopharyngeal, the vagus, same yung pinapasukan niya, which is the jugular foramen. Okay, so how do you test for the vagus? Of course, by doing the gag reflex. Okay, gag reflex, sabay na yan, cranial nerve 8 and 9. You can test both cranial nerve 8 and 9 by doing the gag reflex. Okay, so that ends our lecture for the sensory cranial nerve. Do you have questions, class? Class? May kausap pa ba ako? Sandali ha, parang natakot ako. May kausap pa ba ako? Ha? Nakikinig pa ba ang section B?
Yes po.
Yes po. Natakot ako. Parang wala nang sasalita because I have a very unstable internet connection. Kanina pa, ilang beses na ako naputol. So I thought baka mamaya naputol ako. Anyways, hopefully, na-record ko naman siya ng tama. I'll be uploading that video lecture. Para pag, I know you're kind of busy with gross, So this will be your guide. I'll be uploading this kahit na hindi kayo nakinig ng lecture ko ngayon. Kahit nakakatampo. Do you have any questions, section B?
No questions po.
None po. None po, Doc.
Gusto niyo mag-tip sa ophthalmoscope? Okay, sige. Dali lang. Actually, nakakatuwa because when you do ophthalmoscope, sobrang hirap yan. When I was the first year resident, always tinatanong sa akin, nakita mo ba yung vessels? Ganyan. Syempre, it's very hard, lalo na the macula, okay? So what I do, syempre, if you have an ophthalmoscope, be sure, class, na opposite, ha? Kasi pag right side to, yung patient, baka mamaya mag-lips to lips kayo, okay? So if you will test the right eye of the patient, use your other eye. How to use the instrument itself. Wala akong dalang instrument kasi class, yung instrument natin, meron siyang light na maliit, may light siya na malaki, yung ating ophthalmoscope. Be sure nandoon kayo sa 0. You will see class, di ba pag ginalaw nyo, yung nasa side niya, nagtuturn siya yung numbers nagtuturn ng red or yung numbers nagtuturn ng green. Pag red yan, class, that is myopia. So, kung kayo nagsasalmin, like me, alam ko yung grado ko, I am negative 300, nilalagay ko na yan sa number 3 na pula para mas makikita ko o mas ma-visualize ko. Kasi pag 0 yan, malabo yung makikita nyo. So, yung numbers na yon, yung green at yung red, yan yung grado nyo. Okay? So, pag hindi pa kayo sure, just move it. Pag lumalabo, pag minove nyo siya sa red, go to the green. That is hypermetropia or farsighted. Okay? So, yun. When you do ophthalmoscope class, be sure na makita nyo muna yung optic nerve. Okay? So, yan. Pagkita nyo sa loob, be sure na mahanap nyo yung optic nerve. Then, follow the vessels. Okay? Yung vessels na yan, pupunta siya sa macula. Okay, so temporal the optic nerve is the location of the macula. Okay? So ang ophthalmoscope class, practice talaga yan. Hindi niyo siya makuha. Ako siguro naging sobrang nakabisa ko na siya gamitin when I was in second year na siguro. Very hard din talaga yung ophthalmoscope, no? Lalo na pag hindi nyo masyadong ginagawa. So, kayo, at saka ophthalmoscope, pag nagme-medical mission kami, even with the ophthalmoscope, makikita mo pag may cataract yung patient. Kasi tingnan nyo yung mga kaibigan, yung mga bata-bata pa, you will see there's clear media, red-orange reflex talaga. But if there's cataract, pag sinilip nyo ganyan, makikita nyo may mga dumi, may mga dark or may mga black spots. Those are cataract. Any opacity of the lens glass is called cataract. Okay, but be sure na clear yung cornea niya. Okay. So what else? Ano pang mga itatanong nyo? Okay. Do you have questions pa, class? Huwag kayong mag-alala pag nag-face-to-face, makikita nyo naman ako doon. Dalhin nyo yung mga ophthalmoscope nyo. Dalhin nyo pag nag-gross na kayo. Okay, do you have any questions? Welcome. Do you have any questions, class? May kausap pa ako. Okay, if there are no more questions, sige, I'll be uploading this video lecture para mag-guide kayo. Okay? So, bye.
Thank you po, Doc.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you po.